that when you're watching a game with a buddy who likes a different team than you and your teams are playing, now this is a way to make sure that you assert your dominance over them. Hello, folks, and welcome to the first installation of Game Day Snacks. Today we're going to be making handmade salsa, so let's get into it. So, we're going to be doing this by hand today, only using the kniff. We got all our seasonings over here, all the vegetables we need. We're going to make ourselves some delicious, delicious salsa. It's going to be a bunch of mincing. Let's get our fucking bowl out here. Bunk. You're going to have salt, vinegar, random seasonings like your pepper powders, your pepper. You're going to need some vinegar. I'm going to use a little bit of liquid smoke. I got some hot sauce. We got some peppers, onions, tomatoes, cilantro, a lime, some peppers, 2 more onions, more tomatoes. Hey, look, a pepper. All right, step 1 into doing this. We are going to do our peppers. When you're cutting open a pepper, the preferred method for myself at least is you get on the top, just cut it barely off. You see that? Not that thick. Then you got all these parts on the inside. You can pull those right out of there. Give it a little whoop, and comes out clean. All right, I like to just go whoop, right down the center there. And we want to make sure to be cutting all these pieces nice and small. It'll make the mincing much easier as we get to it. There we go, that was nice. See? Comes right out. In fact, if you get it just right, boop, you can pop the top right off of it too. Chef needs their snacks. All right, let's just start going. This is one of the reasons I like this knife. It's great for just chopping down. Now, this is something that you could be doing easily in a food processor if you're a bitch. But I prefer to do it by hand because it's fun. And if you can't have fun cutting stuff, well, you'll never enjoy cooking. That's the whole joy of cooking, is getting to play with knives and fire and stuff. And then, when you're done, you get to eat, which is always great. Oh, awkward. Let's get some shit fucking cut up. Let's cut the shit out of fucking stuff. Cutting some fucking stuff like it's no business. Got our big bowl. Start scooping her in there. Next up, we're going to do the onions. Now, when I like doing things like this, I like using a multitude of onions. We got 3 types of onions here. You could just use 1 if you want. You don't need to use 3. I like to use 3 because it's nice when you're making a handmade salsa. You can get different colors and different varieties in there. Little bit of variables. It makes it look all nice. So let's get to work on these onions. If I had to pick just 1 onion for this, I'd probably pick this nice white onion. There's different ways to cut onions. Lots of fancy people tell you to do it with the root system still on there. As you can see, I clearly do not do that myself. Honestly, cut anywhere you're comfortable, cut safely, take your time, and cutting stuff is very easy. Make sure you also have a very sharp knife. It's much easier to cut yourself with a dull knife than a sharp knife, because a sharp knife is going to go where you want it. A dull knife is not. All right, we're going to try to go super small on this now to make our mincing job easier. Maybe cry a little less. Making a salsa like this is absolutely perfect during the 3rd or 4th quarter of a game that your team is down by 3 or 4 scores. That way, once the onions start getting cut and you start crying, you just blame the onions. Not the fact that your pride is completely destroyed and you're beside yourself, insisting that you still want to watch the next game. And it's fine. It's fine. I like to do it like this. Just cut them down like so. Nice and small, nice and small. Keeps it nice and even. Don't worry about the pieces that aren't perfect. Once you're a little past halfway, boom, I give it a little foldy guy. And you just keep going until it flops all over itself. Boom. Making a salsa this way is a real labor of love, but let me tell you what. When you're done with it, it is so tasty. Also, if you're going to be making a salsa like this, why would you be doing it unless you're trying to flex all over the people you're making it for? So, being able to say that you hand cut everything is a much bigger flex. All right, mincing time. Boo, boo, boo. Time to cry from onions. They are killing me. Beep, 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 beep. Pile this in there. Next up, we're going to get this cilantro out of the way. Cilantro's optional. I know a lot of people that don't like it. Now, take your oibs, Roll them up. Makes that initial cut so easy. Now, if you don't like cilantro, you can use anything you want, really. You can use parsley to get some green stuff in there. Parsley's not a super strong flavor. I've even used spinach. Spinach is actually pretty good as a green thing in the salsa, believe it or not. Romaine I've used just to add this. I mean, it looks nice to have these little pieces of green in there, you know what I mean? Now, I like cilantro. Let's get a little lime in there. Juice of 1 lime. Beautiful. Now, all the acidity from this lime, and when we put the salt in there, it's really gonna do a number to help and get this nice and juicy. Let's make sure I didn't get any seeds in there. Make sure you try to pop any seeds out if there are any before you start juicing. Look at all this beauty in there. Give her a little stir around. Beautiful so far. Look at that. It's time. We do not want the stems of the tomatoes in our salsa. They are hard and unappetizing. That doesn't mean we need to waste any of the tomato. Just cut the tops off like so. And just like the peppers, you just cut right around them. Now you can obviously just buy canned tomatoes. Canned tomatoes are going to work absolutely fine. And in fact, I have some canned crushed tomatoes here, which we're going to put in there. Anyways, I like to use the mix of both fresh and canned, because see, the canned tomatoes are already cooked, which offers a different flavor from just the regular fresh tomatoes. And when you buy salsa in the store, it's canned. And because it's canned, it's cooked. A little bit of cooked tomato flavor is real good. Oh yeah. See, this is making a ton of salsa too. This is plenty enough for a decent sized gathering of people for your game day snacks. I think this is a good time to make sure that you like and subscribe to our channel here. We're growing and we would appreciate it. Now these end pieces over here, just snacks. Now just do this to a consistency you want. I think right there is about perfect. And then we're gonna wanna scoop them in our bowl. Sop all that up, throw it in there. Don't worry about the juices being in there. The juices are a good thing. Tomato juice, it's good for you. This is like 27,000 servings of fruits and veggies right here. Be the healthiest kid at school eating this, come on. But you can see, we're lacking on the tomato. That's where some canned crushed tomatoes comes in. That's right, folks. This is one of those beautiful things that personal preference can really help. Do you like things really tomatoey? If so, go crazy, bud. Now these crushed tomatoes aren't so much crushed as it is an extra heavy puree. If you get the diced tomatoes, it's more like what we already did. But I like using a mix because I just diced those. So you just put a little bit of that in there. It's just shy of half the can. Now don't let it get too juicy yet with this. We can always add more of the tomato slop, and that'll wetten it up. And if you don't want to use fresh tomatoes, you don't have them, you can use whole canned tomatoes for this too. That would be perfectly fine. I got my trusty box of pickling salt here. Give a couple pinches of salt in there. Remember, you can always add more salt, so don't get too carried away. Plus, salt's not necessarily that good for you. Another thing that's like salt that's super important in these kinds of things is going to be sugar. Now, we're going to actually be putting quite a bit of sugar in here. We're going to put about this cup worth of sugar in there. Probably about a quarter cup. We're going to do a little experiment here with how much sugar that actually is. Tear out my scale there. So there we've got 25.1 grams of sugar. And I know what you're thinking. That looks like an awful lot of sugar here. Look at all that. Well, let me tell you what. Can of Dr. Pepper, total sugars, 39 grams. In just this one can is 39 grams of sugar. This right here is 25 grams of sugar. So yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned about using this much sugar. This is something that's best left to sit for at least an hour before you serve it. Gives it time to meld together, right? A little bit of olive oil. I just get the store brand stuff. 100% pure is all you need to look for. I don't use extra virgin. I use regular olive oil. Why? Because I prefer it. There's lots of people online that say this and that about the olive oils. The extra virgin is just the first squeezed part. The regular olive oil is just the second squeezed part. And then there's the third squeezed part too. That's the cheap fake stuff. I find that this works better for these kind of applications. It also seems to have a higher smoke point. Maybe I'm full of crap. I don't know. Seems that way. I like it, and I think it actually tastes better than the extra virgin stuff. So I use it. If you like the extra virgin stuff, use the extra virgin stuff. Now we're going to move on to garlic. Now, I didn't use any fresh garlic because I despise cutting up fresh garlic. I just do. I love garlic, though. I go with granulated garlic. It is much garlickier. It is much more garlicky than fresh garlic. That's just how the drying process works. And don't use garlic powder, because garlic powder is hot garbage. This is the stuff you want, the granulated stuff. So we're going to put in a nice bunch of that. We can always add more. I probably will. I'm going to do the same thing with some granulated onion. I'm going to go a little softer on this, though, since we have real onion in there. But it gives it a little extra punch. Now, mind you, this is not onion and garlic salt. It's just granulated garlic and just granulated onion. But you use salt and use the garlic powder separately. Don't buy them together. That's just dumb. You're overpaying for salt. Salt is super cheap. So you're paying the same price as this, but with salt added in. So it's basically just diluted. We're going to have super hot cayenne pepper. If you don't like things super hot, don't use the super hot cayenne stuff. Use a more mild one. I'm going to put quite a bit in there because I like it. Then we're going to go chipotle pepper. That's right. I'll go heavy on that too because I like it. One of the problems is people like to under-season. Going to have to go with some cumin here now. My wife doesn't like too much cumin, so I got to go light on that. Nutmeg. I put nutmeg in everything. Just a little bit though. Boop, boop, boop. That's all you need. That's all you need in all this. Tiny little bit. I go with a little bit of basil and oregano because a little basil and oregano goes a long way. I squeeze the dry stuff between my fingers. I would not use fresh stuff in this. The taste between fresh basil and fresh oregano versus the dry stuff is significant. They're basically different herbs. So we're just going to put a little bit in there. Gives it a little green flavor. Salsa needs some green in it. I also love to use just a tiny bit of cinnamon, similar to the nutmeg. Literally, just a tiny little bit goes so long. You gotta pepper until your wrist burns. Now in my grinder, I take black pepper and white peppercorns. I buy them by the big thing that's this sized. And then I mix them half and half together and shake it around. And in my grinder is half black, half white pepper. I think it's a fantastic blend. This is liquid smoke. Boop, boop, boop. Tiny little dash in there. Goes a long way. Like a lot of stuff. And then, gotta add a little bit of hot sauce. This is my favorite hot sauce. This is my hot sauce. I make this hot sauce. It's a habanero hot sauce. Ooh. And it is spicy and strong. So we're gonna throw just a little bit of that in there. Just to give some habanero flavor. And now, and adjust recipes any way you want. You know, if you don't like a spice I used, leave it out. If you think that all this together is a little too adventurous for you, well, number one, grow up. And number two, okay, leave some stuff out. Now, all that acidity from the vinegar and from the lime and all the salt is going to make this get nice and juicy. And all these flavors we're going to want to meld together. All right, let's give a preliminary taste here. That's good. Needs more salt though. Definitely needs more salt though. I usually under salt to start. Because you can always add more salt. You cannot take salt away. Now, this is also going to get more powerful as time goes on, but in a better way. right now there's little pockets of seasoning and it's not melded together. So as it sits for about an hour, you should let it sit. Everything's gonna meld together, so don't go too crazy right off the bat if it doesn't taste completely right. You can always add more later. Again, you can always add, but you can't just take away. So take your time. This can sit for as long as you need. Just pop it in the fridge with a little covering on top of it. Saran wrap, or if you have a sealable container, is fine. So one of the things you can also do with this, if you have different kinds of people, which often happens at your foosball parties, there's people like me. I love things hot. I did not make this hot enough. For me, I would put way more of this in there and way more of the cayenne pepper in there. That's just me. You can't make everything like that. So you can make a milder batch. You can even leave this out altogether. Take some out. The habanero, that is. Leave the habanero out. Take some out, put it in a bowl that's plainer, and then finish it off with more of the good stuff for the people that aren't babies about the capsaicin. If you like things sweeter, add more sugar. As I showed you, there's less sugar in this entire bowl of salsa than a single can of soda. So you can easily put the whole 39 grams that the can of soda has in here. All right, guys, this has been sitting for an hour. All the juices have come out. I've stirred it a few times off camera. All right, time to plane it. All right, let's give her a taste after she sat. That's good. Nice and spicy, delicious. Everything melded together. Oh yeah. Now that's a game day snack. That when you're watching a game with a buddy who likes a different team than you and your teams are playing, now this is a way to make sure that you assert your dominance over them.
Why, Salsa?
10 out of 10.
That's yummy.
Yummy. All right, folks, thank you for joining us for the first game day snacks. I'll be doing more of these. Please leave a comment and tell me what game day snacks I should do in the future. If you have a favorite one, that would be great to know because I'd love to do things people are interested in doing. And we're still a small channel, so I will actually check and see them. Make sure you like and subscribe, and until next time, have a good day. Get in there again. That's so good.